Good afternoon. My name is Jose Ramirez, and I can't believe I've been with Gartner for almost 10 years. Next month, I'll be celebrating 10 years. And I cover CIO leadership, and when I'm not covering CIO leadership, I like to work on home designs or home renovations. Earlier this year, my wife and I, we decided to take on a project in our living room, and we agreed on the design. It was going to be a mid-century European design for our living room. And we found the perfect glass chandelier. But when it arrived, I noticed a problem immediately, and it was the wiring. We couldn't connect it. The chandelier was from Italy, we live in the United States, and it was almost useless. And we spent some money on it. So we learned something about this experience. It is, even if you agree on the same vision and the same design, some things end up not working because it was based on different assumptions. And it made me think about the AI journey that you're in. You might agree or have the same vision with your C-suite peers, but do you have different assumptions about how to implement it and how to roll it out? And this is important because earlier this year, we predicted that 40% of agentic AI projects will be canceled by the end of 2027 due to escalating costs, unclear business value, and inadequate risk controls. Now, I'd like for you to prove this prediction wrong. And I'm going to show you ways that you can better improve the co-leadership with your C-suite members to ensure that you have successful AI delivery in your AI journey. And we're going to do this by first checking the wiring. And this is all about AI literacy, building AI literacy at the executive level. Next, you're going to co-design the blueprint. In other words, accelerate your AI blueprint. And finally, wire the entire house or the whole house. And what I mean by this is execute repeatable AI success. But starting with checking the wiring. Why this is important is because the wiring is hidden. AI literacy is hidden among CXOs, meaning that we don't know the level of proficiency in their AI literacy. And it's important to start to develop AI literacy at the executive level, especially because, going back to my opening story about the home renovation, I often get inspiration from, like many, get inspiration from social media, right? We see that social media has examples of people doing home renovations, and you see it, and you say, wow, like this looks really nice. I want to do it too. It almost seems easy, right? But when you actually get into the project, social media does not share the struggles that people get to achieve the end result. And what this causes, going back to what this means for CXO AI literacy, is what this causes is that CXOs are now thinking, why does everyone seem to know more about me, about AI? Why does it seem that way? And it could be because of the hype, could be success stories that we see in the media. Why is this happening? And CEOs actually have a very low expectation or low perception of AI savviness among their C-suite members. In other words, see if this is your C-suite team. We did a study earlier that CEOs have shared that 84% have said that the CFO lacks AI savviness. 85% said that the chief marketing officer lacks AI savviness. The chief operating officer, 86. Anyone want to guess this chief human resource officer? I wanted to hear 87, right? So it's the next number up. And it's not. I think you were saying it's higher, 93%. 93%. And CEOs may not be wrong because studies show that 91% of C-suite members actually exaggerated their knowledge in AI. Now, why is that? Because no one wants to be left behind. No one wants to say, I don't really know enough to make business decisions. Which is why we need to, earlier this year, we introduced in our CIO Leadership Forum presentation the AI literacy for different levels in the organization. I pulled out the AI literacy for the executive level. And at Gartner, we define AI literacy in 4 categories: AI foundations, AI value, AI engineering, and AI governance. And the Harvey balls show the proficiency. In other words, we expect that C-suite members have at least a basic AI foundation, basic proficiency in AI foundations. And we define AI foundations at the executive level, meaning understanding essential AI concepts for leaders. So not just understanding terminology, like the difference between generative AI, traditional AI, agentic AI, and AI agents. They all have different purposes, and at the executive level, they need to understand how it's going to affect business applications and also understand proven methods for AI success. I recommend using a micro-learning approach for AI foundations. You only need a basic understanding of foundations. And what I mean by micro-learning is, because we know at the C-suite level, or as executives, you learn differently. You don't have the time to take a full course on AI foundations. But there's organizations that have provided bite-sized, 30-second micro-learning approach that C-suite members can use to gain or improve their knowledge in AI foundations. The most important area for C-suite members is AI value. And we define AI value by the use case for growth, for business growth or organizational growth, the tangible benefits of AI adoption, and finally, leading change. As you noticed in the opening keynote, we mentioned that there should be a focus on change management for managers. I think change management for executive leaders is also really, really important. They need to understand how to lead change. AI engineering, we only expect a minimal proficiency because this is the category that are the actual AI skills. We don't expect your C-suite members to develop PyTorch, for example, or learn how to build large language models. But they need to understand how the solution design, or at least understand the strategic element of solution design. They need to understand the data readiness. They're not expected to do data cleaning or to ensure quality, but they need to understand that that's important for making AI decisions. And finally, validation and risk management. And the last area is AI governance. We expect an intermediate level of proficiency in AI governance. And this is because some of your C-suite members are expected to build policies and responsible use of AI. They need to know and understand responsible use of AI. Now, where do we begin? And I mentioned an approach for AI foundations. I'm going to share some more approaches to develop these other 3 areas, but it starts with doing an assessment of your C-suite members. An assessment to understand, because what's really critical here is that AI literacy at the executive level, the strength is defined by its weakest member. And by weakest, we mean it's not, they don't have as high as literacy as everyone else. They're bringing the C-suite leadership down. Now, if you download this presentation, I included an example of this assessment that you can download and start with. But the idea here is that they need to, for instance, I shared the example of business value of AI because that is the area that they need to have strong proficiency, and then ask questions around, do you understand how AI adds value to your function or to your business decisions? Now, if you recall, I shared earlier, 91% over-exaggerate right, their knowledge. It's really critical that we have these conversations with our C-suite peers to respond as accurate as possible and ensure that you as the CIO and senior IT leader are motivating them and guiding them on improving AI literacy. Because the assessment is just the starting point. To develop AI value, AI governance, organizations are starting to adopt hands-on learning activities, for instance, doing an AI hackathon or a workshop at the executive level. And we've seen this in many elements of the AI literacy elements. For instance, there's an organization that's done an AI hackathon at the senior leadership level specifically for prompt engineering or generative AI. But others are using an AI workshop, meaning you bring your C-suite members together to actively build a AI use case together. The other approach that we're seeing is the peer-to-peer networking. You're doing this at this conference, but as a CIO or a senior IT leader, there's an opportunity where you can join your C-suite members in their town hall meetings or in their strategic meetings to be the voice of AI. And that way, they're learning with you. This is critical. AI literacy is critical because we expect that organizations with strong AI literacy will have a 20% increase in their financial performance by 2027. In other words, organizations with advanced AI literacy earn stronger endorsement for their AI investments. Next, co-develop your design. What is and a big question that I'll ask here, what is your current AI ambition at the organization? What is the organization's AI ambition today? Is it a lot, right? Is there too much ambition? Is it too little ambition? We learned at Gartner that on average, there's about 10 initiatives, AI initiatives for organizations. Some organizations are doing less, especially public sector. Some are doing more. But you need to understand the ambition at the organization level because we can't renovate every room, right? We need to work on one room at a time. And it's interesting that C-suite members have have less issues making decisions for other technologies. In other words, for technology in general, 54% have said that they feel confident in making decisions. 50% for cyber risk, but only 26% have said they feel confident at the C-suite level to make decisions in AI or generative AI. It starts with having a discussion about the benefits that you're looking to achieve. And what we did at Gartner, we looked at all the potential benefits, or at least the most popular benefits that AI will provide organizations, and assessed whether their organizations are meeting expectations and also the priority of those benefits. And it's great to see that the impact on employee well-being, we're meeting that expectation, meaning that AI is helping with improving employees' well-being. But the biggest challenge continues to be ROI realization. So for this, we introduced the AI Opportunity Radar. And this is a tool that you can use to have discussions with your C-suite peers. Many of you are probably familiar with this tool already. If you're not, I'll do a really quick overview. What this is sharing is, and again, this is a tool that you can use in your discussions with your C-suite peers, that on one end, we're discussing what we call everyday AI. These are our productivity pursuers. So everyday AI, and whether it's not is internal facing or external facing. On the other end is game-changing AI. They're changing an element or transforming a process or building new products for the organization. Same here, there are some use cases for external facing, some use cases for internal operations. I'll give you a few examples. For those of you that are in financial services or banking, this is what the AI opportunity may look like. So these are a few big examples. One, you will notice that for financial services, the AI opportunities are all across the opportunity radar. There are some for back office everyday AI, there are some for front office, external facing everyday AI, and so on. But now this is where you would take the discussion you had about the benefits, like for instance, improving employee well-being, and might share, well, maybe frontline AI co-pilot will improve performance or productivity. Whereas if ROI realization is also a top priority, perhaps doing an AI financial coach or focusing on building an AI financial coach to attract more customers. For government, public sector, you will notice that most of the opportunities are in, if not all, are in the everyday AI. Now, this is an example. We're not saying that there isn't any in game changing, but my point here is that it's okay. It's okay to start with productivity pursuers because you will build confidence in the organization and your C-suite peers in AI, in your AI journey. For manufacturing, you're going to notice there's mostly game-changing AI. And again, we have some examples here, for instance, using robotics for hazardous conditions, which can improve the well-being of employees. Connect benefits to opportunities using the opportunity radar. But it's important that we approach this in a way that there's role clarity among your C-suite peers. And I want to take a moment to share that your C-suite members, that's the team. Oftentimes I hear senior leadership or even different levels of leadership in organizations saying, my team, for instance, if I'm a CFO, my team is the financial organization. And that's not your team. Your team is your C-suite peers. And high-performing teams is not about equal distribution of work. High-performing teams is about everyone using their strength to improve the discussions in your strategic meetings. For instance, CFO will focus on investment oversight. The chief marketing officer will focus on customer insights. The chief data officer for data governance. And finally, the CHRO for workforce upskilling. And I'll share one more model in this co-designing your blueprint. It comes from Clifford Chance, a legal firm. And they built this AI assessment model based on their business and operating model impact using 7 categories. The business model, which included customers, value proposition, and financial model, this is where they start to begin asking questions. For instance, how will AI impact our customer base or our citizens? How will AI impact them? And then using this conversation to build or find opportunities on the opportunity radar. For value proposition, how will AI affect our value proposition and branding? And finally, the financial model, how will AI affect our pricing models or revenue models? For their operating or enterprise operating model, they begin with business capabilities. What are the core capabilities that will remain or change because of AI? The value streams, how will AI transform existing workforce flows and business capabilities? For governance, which decisions will be made by AI? And finally, for resources, how will AI impact our workforce strategy? To sum this section up, it's all about co-designing. The AI blueprint will enable you as a C-suite team to solve the right problems in the right ways. Finally, let's wire the whole house. So now, if you build that AI literacy first, and then introduce the AI opportunity radar to have these meaningful discussions with C-suite peers, now how do we include repeatable success? I'll go back to when my wife and I were looking to purchase our home before we did the renovation. And as we know, sometimes it could be fun. Right? You do some open houses. You see that many homes, they stage it really nice, and you fall in love with it. But then you start asking, can I see the basement or cellar or attic? I don't know what it's called. But you go into the basement or the cellar or the attic, and this is where you find loose wires, you find aged piping, you find potential problems that's going to slow you down from renovation, which is why this leads to concerns at the C-suite level. And the concerns is all about, do we have the right data to scale AI solutions. Do we have the right talent? Do we have trust? And just like an open house and walking into a cellar or an attic or a basement, it's all about transparency. To be successful, if you take anything away from this session today, is that to be successful in your AI journey is about transparency. Transparency about data and sharing data, sharing talent, and finally, sharing success stories to build trust. And for this, I'll share a public sector example. I live in the city of Philadelphia in the United States, and we have a lot of potholes. We actually don't call them potholes, we call them speed bumps because they slow down, so we don't have a speeding problem, right? Because there's so many potholes. But for Diane here, as a citizen, she has a problem with a pothole in front of her house. It's destroying her car, but also it could be hazardous when her children are playing out front. So she submits a request to the city saying, we need to fix this pothole. And sharing data, what we mean here is that you, in IT or IT services, you might have data on where issues are happening. And citizen services have data on who is submitting those issues or those requests. The opportunity here is to share this data so then AI can help provide faster resolution time, personalized communication, and higher citizen satisfaction. Sharing data across functions will empower your CXOs to be better co-leaders to drive AI value. The next is sharing talent. And this is important because to be successful in the AI era is about understanding where are the skills that exist in your organization. And there's organizations that are building what is called the internal talent marketplace. And what an internal talent marketplace does, it understands or captures the skills from employees, but leaders can put in, or project owners can put in, the opportunities, and through the use of AI can connect employees with those skills to work on those projects. It begins by building or having an understanding of the skills that exist, not only in your IT team, but across all of the functions in the organization. And sharing that talent, which I know that it can be difficult for some leaders to do. But it's important that we share talent because the skill sets might come from different areas of the organization. Verizon, the telecom organization in the US, they started with a generative AI center of excellence. In this center of excellence, they looked at employees from different areas of the business. They connected IT staff with business staff. And these are some of the examples of the employees in this center of excellence. They include profiles like AI scientists, engineers, enterprise architecture from IT, responsible AI, platforms and infrastructure, and application development. And for the business, that includes roles like risk, legal, compliance, and communications. Bringing them together in a center of excellence, and they were expected to use 30% of their time, of their work on this center of excellence. So it's not a full-time commitment. They use 30% of their time to look at ideas that are coming from the organization and to even test those generative AI pilots, what they build known as Vegas, which is their Verizon Enterprise Gen AI Services platform. One role that I want to emphasize here in my research, looking at talent and the roles that I see in AI that are gaining a lot of speed in terms of growth, is they put it down here as responsible AI. But I want to just briefly talk about the AI ethicist, because this is a role that globally went from 3% of AI ethicists entering the workforce in 2020 to 31% last year. It's one of the fastest growing AI roles that we're seeing among IT teams, but also the business team. So consider including, if you do create a center of excellence or an AI council, They're including the role or considering the role of the AI ethicist for the responsible use of AI. And finally, share success stories. Many of you probably recall, if you were at the CIO Leadership Forum, our case study with Minter Ellison. And they did this really well. It's a legal firm here in Australia. They did this really well. They, through AI literacy at all levels of the organization, they first shared their learning metrics. For instance, 91% of employees have, or employees outside of IT, has completed AI literacy learning. 91%. That is a huge adoption. That's success. However, success is not valued in completing learning programs. Instead, what they did is immediately after the learning opportunities, they identified how the learning or AI literacy impacted the business. For example, partners designed new AI services. For instance, their AI risk consulting service. Functions surfaced opportunities to improve existing AI tools. And finally, partners reimagined how they deliver services and products using AI. An example of this, they were able to draft advice in 30 seconds. These are tangible values that came from the AI literacy or from the learning. And most importantly, or even equally importantly, is the talent or their brand. Their brand, they received internally, they did an internal diagnostic where employees scored the organization 4.6 out of 5. And Gary Alder, the Chief Digital Officer of Minter Ellison, shared that over the last couple of months, external candidates have shared that the reason they are applying to Minter Ellison is their dedication to AI innovation. So there's another tangible talent value. In other words, do not plan AI initiatives separately or in silos. AI is safer when it is open, transparent, and tested. And share success stories. So we started with building AI literacy at the executive level, followed by having meaningful discussions using understanding the benefits that you're looking to get out of AI, and having meaningful discussions with the AI opportunity radar, and using the example questions from Clifford Chance to identify AI opportunities. And lastly, AI is successful when it's transparent. You're sharing data, you're sharing talent, and you're sharing success stories. And speaking of success stories, the light fixture that I mentioned at the beginning of the presentation, we were able to figure out, we wired it, right, for use. And here it is. This is the glass chandelier, and it looked beautiful. We learned a lot through this process, but more importantly, we didn't just stop at defining the vision. We continued working together for repeatable success. This one's from London, and this last light fixture is from Germany. So we were able to repeat it because now we knew how to do it. Well, thank you so much for coming to this session, and I'll stick around for a little bit if you want to chat. Thank you so much.